welcome to the second video of this PreCal series. We're going to take on the second main lesson of the week. More algebra view, unit A1-2. You can refer to the calendar. These are just a couple of examples, just a couple of quick examples. And function notation and operations. Now, when we think of functions, we think of the classic f of x, but it could be f of any letter we want it to be, any one of the alphabetic letters. So we often psychologically think of x as our domain, y as our range. It doesn't necessarily have to be that way. So we're going to have our input, f of x, and remember, we're just having input here. And we're going to do various examples. I have others in class that I'm going to demonstrate. And please look on Canvas notes. This is just a couple of examples. This is going to be my input, f of x plus 2. So that's going to go in right here. So when I evaluate f of x plus 2, it's going to go wherever there is a y. So we're going to do x plus 2 squared plus 5. Now, very often we're going to want to simplify this. That's going to be x squared plus 4x plus 4. That's just a binomial expansion. So we're going to have x squared plus 4x plus 4 plus 5. Combine my like terms. I got x squared plus 4x plus 9. All right, so that's what f of x plus 2 will come out to be. Let's go ahead and jump to the next example. And here we're going to take a look at the sum, difference, products, and quotient of functions. This is very intuitive, and you've probably done this in your algebra classes previously. And it's just logical. If I take a, this is not composite, we're just doing the sum and difference, product, quotient operations. If I have f plus g of x written like this, I can break it apart as f of x plus g of x, and so on through all these four operations. Now, sometimes it's advantageous for us to do it apart. Sometimes it's advantageous for us to put the stuff together. So let's take a look at this one right here. We're going to do f of g, f minus g of 3. So that's going to be the same thing as f of 3 and g of 3, and we're going to subtract the difference of the answers. So I certainly can do it like this. F of 3 is equal to 8 times 3 minus 5. That's 24 minus 5, which is going to be 19. Okay. So that is just plain old 19. G of 3 is equal to negative 4 times negative x. Let's put in the 3 squared. That's going to be 9. Negative 4 minus 9 is going to be negative 13. So when we do this, we're going to do 19 minus 13, and we're going to get 32, right? Double check that. 19 minus a negative 13 is equal to 32. I could also do it this way. Now, on this particular problem, I wouldn't recommend it, but you certainly can do it. You can do 8x minus 5 minus, but we got to put it in parentheses, negative 4 minus x squared. And distribute that negative 1. So you have 8x minus 5 plus 4 plus x squared. Write this in standard form for ease of our brains. Plus 8x minus 1. And then we would do f of 3 of that. That's going to be 9 plus 24 minus 1, which is going to give us 32. So there's a couple ways you could do this. Sometimes this is actually the advantageous way of doing it on some of these operations. But for a basic one like this, I'd probably do it the first way. Here's our last example. Here we're going to divide these two functions. And this is where, again, I would just rewrite these functions in this fraction form. I would do x minus 5 over 3x squared. And you can even call this h of x if you wanted to. And just put these two together and call it a new function. And you're going to put input negative 4. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to have negative 4 minus 5 over 3 times negative 4, all in parentheses, squared. That's going to be negative 9 over, well, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to divide 3 into negative 9 and call that negative 3 right off the bat. I could call this negative 48 because that's going to be 16 times 3. Positive 48. So it's going to be positive 48. Okay? And then simplify that fraction. Now, not all teachers are going to require you simplifying fractions. In fact, in your AP Calculus exam, a lot of problems you wouldn't need to simplify. You could if you wanted to, but it's not required. But let me show you something right here. I have a negative 9 over 3 times negative 4 squared. I could cancel that out and call that a negative 3, and that's going to be negative 3 over 16. That's going to be that simplified version. Alrighty, so that's it for today's video, and I'll progress on to the next lesson.